Alright, going on a little trip. Gotta head up to the post office, see if I can post date a postage stamp today. Get today's date on there. It's not quite noon. Supposed to get up at 5:30 this morning, but got a really late start. So, getting a little exercise this way. Not sure what mood my older son is in today, but we may be going and seeing some Fantastic Four. My younger son is very excited about that. At this point, we're all old. The three old guys. The three old gringos. So I've been tracing my family history back even more. Every time I check in with ChatGPT, it continues to go back into my family lineage, even when I'm not prompting or asking it to do so. And, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it keeps sending out emails to Bundesstadt, Germany, and some other places. And it's amazing how many Marstellers, and Mastellers there are from the original 6 that came on the Palatine. So 4 male lineage ancestry came here, and 2 females. I don't think there was any death records, which is odd, but you only have 6 as a base. So they did come here as indentured servants, so somebody had to actually sign if you didn't have family here prior. So obviously they all came around the same time before their lineage could be established, fleeing Germany at that time because of a 100 years witch hunt. I'm going to be leaving this live stream rolling the whole time. I'm going to be walking up Broadway. I'm just going up about 2 or 3 blocks to the, really try to avoid the busy time, but what can you do, right? What can you do? Middays, eh? It's been many years since I've just gotten out and strolled, though. Especially on my own. Bunch of knockoff ugly Teslas. But we got some nice little dinner house there. I'm a slow mover, so I try to stay to the side so other people can get around me. I was born with a lot of congenital hip problems and lower back issues, so working out is not an option for me. Covenant, that's kind of creepy, right? We're just walking a few blocks up. Put this cloth in my pocket so I could, like, I don't know if this is gonna muffle the sound a little bit, but so that I didn't just flip off the camera. Looks like it's still going from what I can see. Yeah, we'll just keep it rolling. I don't have any personal information that I'm sharing, so just very mildly windy. It's probably not like even a half mile up the road here. Mel Mason. So this is the inverted world where you have, instead of Mel Gibson, you have a Mason. There's a Mel Mason. Not to disrespect anybody. When you see that word Mason, it's pretty hairpin trigger as far as the occult goes, right? And I always dress as if I'm going on a motorcycle journey. Looks like a guy in his mid-40s and mid-50s going on a motorcycle journey. He told her. Never noticed those the other morning that we were going for that early morning walk.
Not the one that I just put up.
Nice little restaurants. If you remember the other day, this is the laundromat we were crossing. Taqueria. It doesn't look like any businesses there anymore. Dr. Charlie M. Knight. Interesting names. Helen Rucker. I don't know why I'm calling all those out, but I think it's just an area of interest, right? You have people of interest, there's an area of interest. Bobby Maxwell. I always look at the last name. And kind of thinking about the whole surname, right? It really comes down to whether or not you've been recognized as nobility. At some point in time. My family broke off from my family broke off is the brother of Philip Marsteller, George Marsteller, the namesake that was passed down. And so I think that looks like where there may have been occurred a name change where the R was dropped. And then it looks like most of the family fought for the Confederacy. And you know how that turned out. History, like Napoleon, to paraphrase, like history tells its own truth. So we're just going up another block to get to the and I've got my earphones on and obviously online, so we're ready to receive calls as well. I don't know if it's gonna turn red. Yeah, we'll just wait. Oh, good chance to like kind of look at the area. Might be a couple minutes before we go. This is Seaside, California. It's about, I don't know, it's so Fort Ord is going that way. Marina, CSUMB, then going back down this way is, it's only about maybe a half mile to a mile to the beach. That's where they had all the tsunami warnings the other day. From the Russian. So there's that whole thing to talk about. You had the Russian earthquake, which subjectively could have been something that was set off intentionally. They can definitely do that these days. In fact, there's that big blob that's been talked about under the Appalachians working its way to a big hot blobby mass that's working its way to New York. So in the news today, 31-year-old embryo. Okay, so that's when they hold in stasis the maturation of inception. It's after inception, so it's on Inverted World. They brought some really good points up, and that is that soul in a sort of stasis, you know, on inception. Right? Like, when do you say life begins and life ends? The consciousness of Dr. Michael Levin's work, what it more than suggests, it proves, is that consciousness can exist and does exist on the microscalar level. Oh, I'm on the wrong side of the road, and I did that like a bonehead. There's the post office is over there on the other side. It is cool today, but it's cool most days here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sort of finagle my way across the street like the old school days here. It's not like trying to get across the street to El Camino, that's for damn sure. We're going to head into the post office. We're going to put on our respectable spectacles. We don't want to confuse that with testicles. That's not to be crude, but respectable, I mean, what rhymes more, right? I'm going to put on those Mike Meyer vision glasses, right? See the world through Technicolor. So this is the United States Post Office in Seaside, California. We're not holding any audits.
We need to do a photo, they just take it off that.
So you wouldn't need to do a photo, which we do here. And the only thing about the passport card is I'm not sure if you're aware that it's only to Canada and Mexico, no international travel.
Yeah, I already got passport, we need them now to go to Mexico. All right, thank you, awesome.
I can help you.
One of my nails and came back because I didn't put that postage up. So here's what happens when I return to send.
So we could send it as a non-machinable. So 156, but the issue is that you might get it might get returned. It's rated as a machine.
Right, that's what I said. So, what is that? Cause they put, like on this one, when they sent it back, they put $4.96.
So that probably means that they wanted to go parcel rate, which on this first one, it would be $6.80.
So that means that, all right.
Yeah, because unfortunately, they do classify those as packages.
Yeah, that's it, yeah, okay,
So it's probably going to be around the same for both.
okay.
And it does say it is expected by Friday. And there on the screen, it's just going to actually verify that address. Yes, on the screen is correct.
This is going to Burnaby.
This was actually 7:30 on that one.
Batteries for memory aerosols.
That one's expected Saturday. No, you verify that.
$200 insurance is included.
So, and then these don't go through machine, so these actually get.
Now, do you have, what, stamps do you have?
These here are the ones I have available at the moment.
Oh, Manatee, okay, thank you.
Hey, how's it going? Paper postage on that. I just wanted to get a stamp for today on that one. Send that one off to you. Current postage stamp to prove that I did it.
There we go.
Awesome. That takes a lot of stress off. Appreciate that. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm good, how are you?
Oh, doing well, man. Pretty day. That's one thing we got here, right?
Yep. There we go.
Is anyone doing
This
pickup
one's ready
or
too.
just a question
I'll
Thank
stamp that one.
or doing a drop off?
Anything else today or just a stamp for today?
That's it, yeah. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Can you supply the rest?
Would you like a receipt?
Yeah, might as well. Yeah. Government stuff, you never know, right? Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
All right, we got that all done. So I didn't want to talk about it prior to, but that was jury duty that I'm really trying to get out of that, obviously. And, you know, that leaves speculation on our fiduciary duties, but really it goes beyond fiduciary because that's what we assume is our fiduciary duties. And it really gets into what we were talking about. It's like citizenship, land ownership, right? Worship. It goes back to the fact that are we servants? Are we slaves? Or are we participatory, actionable government agents? Because that's the only way that us serving any sort of court-appointed services, in other words, we don't realize it, but we're cowering down and bowing down to a militia, okay? That, really, look at this lady. Look at this. Nice smile so you can like cut people off, right? Look at that. She's late, so she practically hits me, but she's barely getting in the door because she's late. Look at that. You're in public. When you almost run somebody over, that's a shop owner. Let's be sure it's a boutique. And yeah, I would have busted out a First Amendment audit in Lily's Boutique. I would say be very wary of going in there. Be very wary. If someone's going to use their there's an interesting 1033, right? Something tells me we're on the wrong side of the street here. So this is one of the beauties of living in a small town community, is where you can make sure that, and one of the beauties of having sovereign rights as citizens and one of the beauties of being able to run across the street at will. You can't, if you write a check that your ass can't cash by being able to physically get through it, and I think that that's what a lot of people do. I just look at the physical posturing, and I'm not really judging people, but I'm like, could you go around, right? Like, with all your assumptions, all of your racist views, could you stand head to head with the people that you're subjectively putting down? And it always comes down to individuals. Like people who are focusing on their health and their fitness and athleticism are undoubtedly unified in that quest. And when you step out of that, you're no longer unified in that quest. It doesn't matter if you were a top tier bodybuilder, a fighter, a UFC fighter, all those claims to fame only existed in the temporal aspects of the ephemeral self. You cannot assume or esteem the steady state that you once exhibited through your fitness endeavors. We're gonna wait till that turns before we walk. All right, we should be good to go now. That was a nice gentleman. I should have waved at him for waiting. Another gray hair, gray beard guy. I'm gonna be 56 years old. And just because I get out and about these days as if I'm like 35 years old doesn't mean that I don't have all the aches and pains and years of worry and stress. And that's something that people need to be reminded of is that when they have, let's walk through here, it's a little more aesthetic. I saw on Report of the Week, they had, what's the other place called that Taco Bell owns, the Wingstop. He actually had some really nice things to say about the wings and the flavor. I think he gave it like an 8.5, which is really rare for him. So you're gonna get some rude people, and you gotta call them out. That's what this Big Brother is. You think that the government isn't watching on the other side of all these live streams? Oh yeah. In fact, they don't need to watch. It goes directly into an Orwellian system of master control where AI is interfacing with and checking the balances on, and that is what Big Brother is. Checking the balances on the busiest place here is the bank and the dispensary. Not odd that what we were just talking about is like modified systematic control of behaviorism now. Now we actually go in and check in, and they've made it antiquated the meds, where people are actually going into dispensaries and choosing to be medicated. They're choosing medication. I was looking at so there's a popular there's a popular I'm gonna go down the alleyway so I can chill and talk. There's a popular Mexican restaurant around the area called Papa Chevos, and then there's another one that's called like Papa Chongo. And I was looking up some information on Santeria and watched this whole expose on Santeria, and which is debatably, it's witchcraft. It is witchcraft. You know, whether you get into the Caribbean or voodoo style or the Haitian style, it all intersects at strange, esoteric, dark and esoteric midpoints. It's always females. They're the rudest midday. I don't know if you agree. And there's a lot of arguments for that. And, but whenever there are midday altercations, which is expected, it's usually incited off by a very toxic femininity. Whether it is an actual female or somebody who's just using egalitarian democracy as a weaponized rights ritual. And it leads directly into Santeria, because Santeria was something that was practiced in Mexico, among other derivatives of the same type of cultural quasi-religiosity. And it really deals with the carnal and the corporeal aspects of being able to just go about your day, get a good job, have favor at certain places. And this story, this person who called in on Inverted World talked about how he was just recently let go of, and how oddly he was asked to paint a mural that was based on Santeria for a specific business, and he indulged, and he had to do the job because he had been fired from a college as an art professional. I don't know if it was more art history or just specifically in the arts department. And he was very rudely set up, cancel cultured, and ended up losing his job because he had said some things where he was standing up about, ironically, if you call it that, about cancel culture itself. And so the next job he had to take was like painting these murals, and when he had just gotten through, he was reflecting on some things. You could tell that he was talking around it, like that he had interacted with something. I wish people were more transparent and honest. But while he was painting and finishing this sort of god figure, it was like this sort of behemoth, 9-10 foot tall, a depiction of a specific god that they sort of deify in Santeria. He got a call about someone, the very person who set him up and caused him to lose his job through very diabolical measures, right? And her husband just unexpectedly just died. And so he had been feeling, the strange part of this is that he had been feeling this sort of connectivity with what he was doing, with his art, with the Santeria worship. And it's specifically about outcomes. It's specifically about rearranging a certain order in the computational system, or the computational subset, where when you look at things based on a deterministic factor, and you were to look at it based on zeros and ones, and that there is a default or a fallback that things go to, and when you, it's sort of like Final Destination, when you mess with or try to redirect that, and you do it during a certain time signature, and that's what this court system is about, that's what dates, that's what the calendar is about, and you better believe it's called Lamla, I think. So it was like on August, the Sunday closest to August 1st is the harvest, the witch's harvest. So if you don't know about these dates, and you think, oh, that's witchcraft, I'm not a witch, or that's this, and then you see the coinciding of Christianity and Christian rituals, the rituals that we study, that in the past were just cast off as mere paganism, that we assert as a good majority, like Christmas. You know, you can get into that with Neil from Gnostic Informant, but they will lay out evidential proof. You don't have to go all the way toward Mont Hillman there, but that you live in this mystical element where when you when I look at principles, and I looked at principles initially, the pure principles trump everything and everyone, but it goes by a different time signature. So even if you're over a long period of time, technically not being cursed, but you're not being blessed, it doesn't affect the immediate. And people are living according to the immediate effects because through causality, that's all they see. And that's what they recognize themselves as they think that rationalism is heavily linked to the corporeal or the carnal or the temporal pursuits. For instance, even if they had 3 kids, not only just out of wedlock, but because they made wrong choices, they were heavily drinking, say those 3 kids were fathered by 3 different fathers, they want for that intersection or that bisection to validate and justify their ill behavior, even if they have now esteemably become boutique owners, right? And that they finally got what they wanted after lighting many candles and rituals and doing ceremonies and sacrificing. But there is a debtor day. And I do believe that even purity can transcend people, times, events that are mistakes, seen as mistakes. And so when you look at like a Back to the Future type time travel situation, I do not believe that time works that way at all. I think on one level, from a computational subset, it works that way. And on a whole nother level, you are battling and vying for a soul.